Welcome, everybody, to How to Live a Fantastic Life podcast. Mia, today we have a special guest by the name of Mia Hewett. She has co-owned and operated 7-figure businesses and is an international speaker, a best-selling author, and a world-class business coach. Mia is founder of Aligned Intelligence, a methodology that removes fear, anxiety, and self-doubt. This is what allows her clients to free their minds from having an inner critic or negative self-talk. Mia helps entrepreneurs who know what meant for more stop secretly struggling by demolishing their fears and insecurities so that they can make 6- and 7-figure leaps in their businesses the easier, faster way, thereby having them live a fantastic life, feeling fulfilled in their purpose while making the impact and difference they've always wanted to make. Mia, welcome.
Wow, thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me.
Fantastic. How and what is stopping people from living a fantastic life?
That's such a great question. And the fastest way that I'm going to tell you that I have found what really stops them is this. When we were born, all of us as children, we were born whole, perfect, and complete. Like not one of us was born with a self-esteem issue. So then what happens? Well, as that child grows, right, we grow through an emotional bond of trust. And when the trust gets broken, we experience this immense shame. It's so traumatic for us as children. We didn't even think we're capable of surviving it. And so when these emotions that we've never felt before, we experience them and we don't know how to process them, we internalize those emotions to mean there's something wrong with us. And then without knowing how to process our emotions, we actually take them on as an identity of who we think we are, which is the birth of the ego, right? That false self. And what happens is this leaves us feeling like all alone, abandoned, separate in some way, which is precisely how one could describe how we lose our authentic self because it ceases to exist psychologically. And then we go into our head and try to figure out what the heck happened so we never allow it to happen again, since our emotions actually become no longer safe. Does that make sense, Dr. Lycka? You know how
it does. Makes a lot of sense. It sounds like a self-renewal process. Is that why people don't heal?
Yes, because they don't know what they're looking to heal. They think who they are is broken, is not fixable. Right? Which is the fascinating thing, the most paradoxical part of this trauma. That trauma, the original trauma creates this not being able to heal because we believe that there's something wrong with us and we live into it. The most paradoxical part of it is the core motivator of the super achiever and the underachiever is the trauma. The core motivator between the star and the scapegoat is the trauma. The righteous and the wretched, the powerful and the pathetic. The fascinating thing is both created that in that trauma, it creates both pathways. Isn't that fascinating?
That is fascinating. It's interesting that two things that seem to be paradoxical can have the same motivators.
Yes, it's the way the child perceived it. Like I actually supported a twin, right? An identical twin. So same exact experience when he didn't think he had a trauma. So let me just say that because most of my clients don't think they have a trauma, because trauma to society is they have to have been severely beaten or, sexually abused. And although those are definitely traumas, he's like, I don't have any of that. I had a good childhood, but he couldn't make money. He would make money and lose it, make money and lose it. So long story short, I found his trauma. And when he was 3 years old, him and his brother, his identical twin, were sleeping. And his mother came in and said, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Get up, get up, get out of your room. I want you to go hide underneath my bed. Your father's coming home and he's drunk. And he never knew that his father could be something that could hurt him. He was so scared. It traumatized him so much. He was so scared, he blacked out. The other identical twin, not so much. In fact, it didn't create that at all. One grew up to become highly successful, and the other one, which was him, which I ended up helping, completely, constantly, always looking over his shoulder for what was going to be taken away next, what was going to happen to him, always looking for the shoe to drop, always looking for something that's going to go wrong. Identical situation. Isn't it amazing?
Different lives, though. And is it true that different experiences shape people in different ways?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's all in the eye of the beholder, right? The perception. Perception is not created in the situation. Perception's not in the situation. It's in the perspective of the person viewing it. I like to use the parable of three blind men, and they're studying an elephant. One studies his trunk, one a leg, and one an ear. Each one gives their own perception of what it is that they felt and understand as an elephant, and each one is right.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Do you have a recipe to help people out of their difficulties?
Oh, yes, absolutely. With every great success, right? Anybody who's successful at anything, they're not winging it, right? I know you know this because to be successful, we cannot be winging it. There's an actual recipe to do anything. If you want to make $1 million, there's a recipe for that. If you want to make 6 figures, there's a recipe for that, right? There's a recipe just like that. There's an exact recipe that I have found, uncovered through our aligned intelligence process. That's what we call it. It's our trademark process, where we can consistently and predictably with 100% accuracy. I have not one person that it doesn't work for. At 100% accuracy, we are able to take someone who has been struggling their whole life and literally help them unravel the subconscious experiences that have been grounded into the emotion, free themselves emotionally such that they can live free mentally. Because can you feel this, Dr. Lycka? Is that the truth is, because this trauma happened emotionally and not mentally, not logically, what happens is we can't think greater than how we feel.
Understandably.
Right. It literally, without healing this part of ourselves, we actually limit our intellect. Yeah.
Interesting. Are these the blind spots you refer to?
Oh, yes. There is, that is the biggest blind spot. So the biggest blind spot that everybody has that they're always feeling like there's this one thing that if they could just get this one thing that's been missing their whole life, they'll be able to like really achieve something. The biggest one thing that has been in a blind spot to them is how the trauma got created. How that they went into a perception, they took on those emotions, became a way of being to try to survive their life. And now they've been living as if they are that.
Understandably,
Yeah.
yes. So that's how a person gets trapped in their experience.
Yeah, it becomes an invisible trap. And so then what happens is they get caught between these two parts of themselves, right? Because prior to the age of 7, from 7 years up, we start developing our conscious mind. That's why by teenagers, we reject ideas all the time, right? I don't agree with that, right? As teenagers, we become, we really reject ideas and not always accept everything. But as small children, we take everything literal, and we take anything on, as somebody said to you, as truth, even when it's not. And so what happens is we get caught between the emotional side of ourselves and the logical side of ourselves. So meaning we'll know what to do. We know we want to play big. We know we're meant for more, but please don't really see me, because if you see me, you're going to see everything that's wrong with me. So we get caught between these two parts of ourselves. See me, don't see me. See me, don't see me. Yeah.
So where does our power really come from?
Our power comes from inside of these two pieces, right? So if you can feel inside of the the automatic programming that's been running ever since that trauma, that ego, that we've got that automatic programming, it's actually in the space in between when we let go of the automatic programming, come back out and observe it. And in the space in between of us being able to consciously choose the feeling state that we want to live in, that's where real power really exists. Power is in the space in between the automatic programming and choosing the state or the feeling place we want to live into. Once we've done this enough times, this actually becomes an easy place to go to. Like, we live there. We don't have to constantly be battling with the ego and so forth, but to access it, even if we haven't healed anybody, that is the greatest power.
And in that powerful spot, can we control that automatic programming?
Well, we actually don't control it, but we have all the power, because we, in letting go of it, we are, in a sense, controlling it. Does that make sense? We can't, let me say it a different way. We can't fight a problem and get rid of it, right? Because the universal law of cause and effect defies that. You can't focus on a problem or fight it and get rid of it, because every time you focus on it, it just gets bigger. So what we have to do instead, the power comes in the letting go of it, the surrendering of the programming, and choosing the state we wish to occupy in, feeling our way into that such that it becomes familiar.
Interesting. So you have every one of us has an inner critic, a negative self-talk. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's actually the ego, right? So the day we created our ego was that day. And so how we deal with that is, what we actually do is we teach people a process to actually let go of their mind, to free themselves from their mind and actually live from their feeling state. The truth is, when that trauma happened, it was so shocking to us. It blindsided us, confused us, caused us to doubt ourselves. We went into our head to try to figure it out. The problem is, you can't go into the head to figure out it, because again, you can't fight a problem and get rid of it. So it's the opposite. We actually have to pull back. So the step one is what I would, this is like a quick version of it, but step one, we have to self-observe what's happening. And then from that self-observing, as if we were neutral, right? Kind of like a spotlight looking down, it sees everything as neutral. We have to self-observe. And then we have to become, number two, get really curious. Get curious, what am I making this mean? Whatever the situation is, you want to look at, what are you making it mean? And then number three, we want to detach from the attachment. So all fear is a result of an attachment. So we want to let go of the attachment by sorting out what's the truth and what's the lie about this. And then number four, we want to define it. Like, what do we have to accept and then forgive? Here's the release. And then number five, then we can choose intentionally, how do I want to feel? And then number six, we want to actually go all in on that as a point of conviction. And number seven is then we will find the feeling place of what alignment feels like. So where all our power is in alignment is when what we think, what we say, how we feel, and the actions we take, the behaviors we do, are all in alignment. That's true power.
Wow, that sounds complicated. Does it take a lot of time to achieve true power?
Oh, I love that you say that. 8 weeks.
8 weeks, that's amazing.
Yeah, we've nailed it down to 8 weeks. It takes us 8 weeks for not just the one thing, because like every recipe, we free the mind and the emotions, but to actually have you operating inside of your power day in and day out, inside of any concept, any context, any situation, we need 8 weeks, because we've got to not only heal that, but then build the muscle of it. So yeah, it takes us 8 weeks.
Do you do this in group counseling or individual counseling?
No, we do it in small groups of 25 because of two reasons. It actually works better in a group than it does individual, because in the small group, in a very safe space, what happens is you get to witness you get to watch every single person transform. You get to watch every single person's breakthrough. What that does for the mind is it allows the mind to let go of control of like, it's not going to work for me. This isn't going to happen. And so it's done in a very small group, but each individual breakthrough healing, that is done individually. So we don't heal the group as a whole. We heal individually, but we do it in a group setting. So it's like a hybrid, I guess you could say, which is what we found works the best for our success rate.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Is this expensive?
Is it expensive? Wow, that's a great question. I guess that depends on what it looks like, what it's costing someone. Like, I love that question so much because I actually coach entrepreneurs, or people who want to start their own businesses. So when they look at this in terms of it costs them $6,000 in 8 weeks to get this completely out of the way. But when they look at how much it's costing them financially, right, relationship wise, mentally, emotionally, and physically, I get a lot of physical people, people having physical ailments, and then business wise, it's a drop in the bucket for the return they get. So no, I've never had anyone complain about the price. In fact, I've never even had anyone ask for a refund.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I think it helps people discover their net worth, doesn't it?
Oh boy, yes. I mean, so there was one gentleman, like in a very, I have so many stories like this, but like, for instance, in the first week of him being in our course, he made $250,000. He had never made that before. This was during COVID, when everything was shut down. He made $250,000. I had another guy make $1 million in the first week. He had never gotten a big case before. He happened to be a lawyer. He had never gotten $1 million case. He got it within the first week. Now, does everybody get the $1 million or 250 in the first week? No, but I will tell you this. What happens is when people become free emotionally, everything starts opening up. All opportunities they see, the amount of money that people have made from freeing themselves is tremendous. Tremendous.
Isn't that sort of the law of the universe? Once you find your potential, once you get there, things seek you out rather than you seeking them out.
That's exactly what they say to me. Oh my gosh. Like the woman right now in my course, she's like, oh my gosh. She's a realtor. She's like, this one just fell in my lap. And this one just came in. And this person just called me out of the blue and said, can you list my house? And she's like, that never would have happened before. So you're exactly right.
So it's an amazing process. And
yeah.
I think can you summarize the process for us again? Because it's a bit complicated and I'd like our listeners to take it away with them.
Sure. When you mean the process, meaning everything we do in the 8 weeks, or just
everything
what
you
happened
do,
to them?
just an overview of it, a 10,000 mile bird's eye view.
Oh, okay. Just so I make sure I give you exactly what it is. So what basically we do in 8 weeks is we heal their individual trauma. We show them how to free their mind from that negative inner critic. So it stops running. Like my ego doesn't run anymore. So I don't have a negative voice that runs in my head, which is amazing. If somebody would have told me that, I would have not believed them. I would have thought they were crazy. But we actually show them how to have that negative voice no longer run. We show them how to process their emotions. So they're no longer afraid of emotions, and they actually understand what their emotions actually mean, and then know how to process it so that they can come back into alignment and at any time. We actually show them how to be in any conversation with any person, even if they're in a disagreement or a conflict or any kind of difference of opinion, and not lose their power. We show them how to have that exact experiences. We show them how to no longer fear people's opinions and judgments of themselves, so that they can show up on camera. They can do the things they need to be. They can be out there in marketing so that they can achieve their 6 and 7 figure dreams. We show them how to heal the money blocks that have been stopping them. Because one thing about money is you have to be able to, money follows order, right? So you have to be able to clear what is in the way emotionally about money so that you have the ability to ask, receive, and allow the wealth that you want to create. So we heal money blocks. We teach them where real worth comes from, like how to really find their worth, know that they're loved and worthy, and where that really comes from. We teach them how to live from their intuition so that they're living from freedom, peace, and ease. So it's not outside of them anymore. We teach them how to listen to their intuition. Let's see if there was anything.
Sounds like a pretty intense experience, isn't it?
It is. It's a really amazing experience for someone, who's ready to awaken to who they really are and no longer want to live in fear. What I have found is the more awakened of an entrepreneur we become, the less of life we fear.
Excellent. And is fear a limiting factor?
It's never really fear that really stops people. What's underneath fear, that fear is the symptom. So they do feel fear, but it's not fear that stops people. That's just a symptom. The underlying cause of fear is always some form of attachment. So the attachment could be control. They want to control something that they don't feel like they can control, but they don't know how to use their power. So it's either like a control, a judgment, some form of resistance. Because feel this, all freedom happens from non-attachment, non-judgment, and non-resistance.
Excellent. Good. Well, we're getting close to our end here.
Yeah.
Is there some message you want to share with everybody today? One underlying theme?
That's a great one. I think the biggest message that I would have wished, if I was in their physical shoes, like what would I have liked to have been told, is that once the mind decides it has a problem, it will go to work to protect the problem. So the one thing I think that I would have wanted to really understand back then is that our mind will lie to us, not because it's bad, but because it's doing its job to protect us. So you can't trust the mind. You have to actually really understand what your emotions mean. Your emotions are your guidance. They're like your internal GPS. Your emotions will tell you at every moment whether the thought you were thinking is either out of alignment from what you want or in alignment from what you want. So if you pay attention as an observer to your emotions, you do have tremendous inner guidance.
Excellent. Well, Mia, how can people get in touch with you if they'd like to pursue this further?
Absolutely. They can reach out to me. My team doesn't answer my emails. I do. They can email me at mia@miahewett.com or go to my website at Mia, and the Hewett is spelled HEWETT.com. And check us out. We have an amazing book. I have a best-selling book. They can download it and read it. It's amazing.
Fantastic, Mia.
Yeah.
You're a fount of energy, and I think people should check you up and really check out your services.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Talk to you again.
All right.